Chris Tremaine, speaking the point of order.
Mr. Speaker, for the point of clarification, and I think this is important in reaching a ruling here, the words that were used were simply Mr. Chair. There were no other words, there were no thank yous, no other, and that was made simply at the point in time. There was some noise in the House to make it clear that the closure motion was read exactly as it should have been, following the words Mr. Chair. The second point I'd make is that in reading through the standing orders, at no point does it state that other words disqualify the closure motion, and as a result of that I believe that what was said was in keeping with the standing orders and with the Speaker's rulings, and that the closure motion should be accepted.
I'll hear the Honourable Darren Hughes briefly, and that will be the end of
Certainly. So I'll maybe just address two very quick points that the Chairman reported back to you. One was on the location of members in the seats to which they've been allocated individually, and their ability to move a closure motion, sir, which had been a matter contested previously. Member speaking from a block of seats allocated to their party but not their individual seat, but the Chairman has ruled on that and given you his explanation. There was also a question, sir, on the third point that the Chairman raised with you about the ability of a member under the new rules to move multiple closure motions within their allocation of 4 calls. The closure motion being treated as a call, but they can move the maximum number up to 4 for it to be a closure, but it is treated as a speech. And there was some question which wasn't answered by the Chair as to what happens in the case if it's a mixture of calls, i.e. the member participates substantively in the debate using one of their calls as a speech to discuss the actual substance of the legislation, and then uses subsequent calls for that to take place on a procedural point of view with respect to a closure motion. And so it would be useful to get some clear guidance for you on that. On the second point, the middle point that Mr. Mallard has spoken to you on, he recalled his own experience. Ms. Mackie has offered hers through him. But in fact, this very point occurred early in the term of this Parliament, where we were in urgency before Christmas of 2008, and members were unable to get the correct form of words to put the closure motion, and they were all not accepted by the Chairman, by each of the 3 chairmen in the debate. That was quite a feature of what had happened in that point. And the reason why I think it's important, sir, if I take you to Standing Order 1321, it's one of the few examples through our standing orders where the precise form of words is prescribed in quotation marks for members of the House to follow. As it happens, there's actually 2 examples on that page in Standing Order 129 as well, with the adjournment that Mr. Mallard referred to earlier. But there are very few motions where the exact form of words are prescribed for us to follow. And I think that, sir, if you uphold what the Chairman has said, that overturns what has been the long practice which members sadly have to learn the hard way. It's happened to nearly everybody, where they don't get the form of words right. They either say thank you or finally I've been called, or there's some quite innocent phrase that is used, but at that point it becomes a speech and not those very tight words that were used in Standing Order 132. Finally, sir, there appears to be some disagreement that the contribution of the Chief Government Whip indicated that he did not believe Mr Bennett used extra words, but that of course is a matter of debate, because that was certainly what was heard over here, and the Chairman himself in reporting said one of the reasons he accepted it was because the member had used a courtesy. And as nice and kind as that is not what is permitted in Standing Order 132.
I thank honourable members, and let me preface my ruling by pointing out Speaker's ruling 65.4, that it is not for the Speaker to second-guess the Chair's judgment on the closure. And I make that point at the start because I'm not going to make any comment with respect to the acceptance of the closure. That is solely the judgment of the Chair. I just do want to, though, quickly address the technical issues that led up to that members have raised. The first one being that the question around whether or not a member can move the closure from a seat that is not the member's allocated seat, and there is nothing in standing orders that prevents a member from doing that. As the Chair pointed out to the House at some length, there is nothing that prevents, and members be well aware that the House wouldn't work very effectively if everyone had to run back to their own seats before they could do such things. With respect to the second point, around the actual words. From what I understand took place, the member moved the question be now put in the correct form as required by Standing Order 1321, and the speaker, the chair at the time, accepted that. I think, from what I've heard, there is no reason to argue or for me to rule that was in any way out of order, because I think to suggest that to say thank you is to make a speech is a little unfortunate, because courtesy in this House is something that I've been trying to encourage, and having said that, I think it's worthwhile that members have raised the point, because members do need to be aware when moving the closure there is a proper form, and that should be used. So I'm not in any way criticising members for raising the point, but I think the ruling of the chair is absolutely proper on this occasion. And with respect to the third point about whether or not the member was entitled to move the closure, given that he had already had a call, the standing orders make it very clear that the member has a number of calls that can be made and can move the closure on any of those calls, so long as the committee has not already made a decision on the matter. So I'll hand back to the chair at that point, having clarified. I declare the House. Point of order, the Honourable Darren Hughes.
Mr. Speaker, completely separate point of order, but we need to do this now because you're here and we won't be seeing you for a while. So, sir, can I seek leave for there to be a question time at 2 p.m. today, with all questions being lodged with the Office of the Clerk by 12:30 p.m. Today. Otherwise, sir, there's no question time until the 17th of March, and no chance for the public to have ministers held to account.
Order, members, under a point of order, sought leave that a question time be held today under the conditions the member has outlined. Is there any objection to that course of action? There is objection. I declare the House back in committee on the bill.